Good morning. How are you today? It's Thursday the 4th of June and this is today's daily devotional video from Yoker Evangelical Church. My name's Sandra and it's my opportunity to share a little of what caught my attention within one of today's readings for us. Our passages today were Deuteronomy chapter 8 and Psalm 91. And if you've not read the passages yet today, can I encourage you to hit pause on this video, to go and read the passages and then come back and hit play again. Because I've got a few thoughts to share with you about Psalm 91 and what stood out to me and also what's challenged me this morning as well. So yeah, let's delve into Psalm 91. Psalm 91 is a psalm of encouragement, and we're not going to look at the whole psalm this morning. We're going to focus on just one or two verses. And what stood out loud and clear right from the very start was that if I read these first verses in my usual way sometimes, when life is busy and quick, is that we glance over stuff, we read it, but we don't take it in and we zoom right on by. And then the rest of what this psalm's trying to communicate to us and tell us gets lost on us if we're too quick. And so let's together still ourselves this morning and read that first bit together. So Psalm 91 verse 1. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him. What a declaration that last line is. Let's read it again. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him. That's an invitation for all of us watching this morning. Who's your shelter? Who's your refuge in? Who do you place your trust in? Do you place your trust in God? This is a psalm that calls us to slow our pace down. It calls us not just to rest, but to know in whom we rest, to know in whom we find our refuge, in whom we place our trust. Now, until recently, and being furloughed from work, life for me normally goes at quite a quick pace. And it can sometimes be really easy to get lost in the activity and become focused in security being linked to either a job or the activities we get ourselves involved with, maybe the roof over our heads and the food on our tables and the things that we surround ourselves with. Because let's face it, we are all good at surrounding ourselves with stuff. I have been clearing some things out and giving myself a little bit of a shock. But however, in this psalm we're encouraged and reminded to raise our gaze, to seek our dwelling and our rest in God alone. To not place our trust in what we fill our lives with, but to place our trust in God alone. And I don't know how you've found the time during lockdown. For me, I've gone from being super busy to literally overnight having no longer a diary that's full and a diary that pretty much keeps me on track every day, to it being completely empty. And as the things that normally take up a lot of my attention are stripped away, I've found the news and social media and a whole load of other voices trying to take up that attention, trying to absorb that time and the space in my mind, and trying to fill that space with unrest, with worry, with concern for loved ones, and concern for friends who work on the front line of the NHS, and with the sad news that has come of people close losing family members. And I've also found myself having conversations with friends as we've struggled together with the lack of purpose to each day and those feelings of unrest and frustration. And as we've talked and as we've prayed together and reminded one another to press in close to God, I've been struck by that sense of calm and contentment that's grown within me over the weeks, and that's come from God and God alone, and from resting in Him. Now, not every day is a success in those things. There are some days that are better than others. But there is a calmness and a contentment that has grown from resting in Him. We aren't promised as Christians that our lives will be problem-free and full of good health and happiness, and that life will be peachy the whole time. We're not promised that. Difficulties will and do come our way. And what makes the difference in those seasons is whether we dwell and rest in God and allow Him to shape us through those seasons, to strengthen us, to strengthen our faith, to trust our life road to Him in the difficulties as well as the mountaintops, and to know that He is God, that He is good, that His will is perfect, and His timing for us is our best. And as the psalm says, that His faithfulness will be our shield and our rampart, so we do not need to fear. And as we rest in Him, our gaze lifts to the Most High God, and we see our world and maybe see our cares and our concerns from a slightly different perspective. We're reminded in this psalm that we are given the sure and certain hope to shelter in the shadow of the Almighty, to shelter under the wings of God Almighty. How amazing is that? And we're not forced to have God as our shelter or our refuge or our strength. We have a choice. We have to choose to rest in Him. We have to choose to step back from everything else that shouts for our attention and to rest in Him. And I think that's what our challenge is for today, for every day in my case. And all that today holds, in the slowness and quietness of lockdown, or in that different pace to our days, or maybe as lockdown is lifted for you and things are getting just that little bit busier again as things start up, or maybe as you've worked right through lockdown and actually it has been frantic, that we have to choose in this day to rest not in the fragility of this world, but to choose to rest in God, to choose to shelter in the Almighty. And that together we'll be able to say this together, that this is what we declare about the Lord, that He alone is our refuge, our place of safety. He is our God, and I will trust Him, and we will trust Him. And so that's our challenge for this morning. But as we finish, let's pray together. Father, thank you for this new day. Thank you that we come into this day knowing that you are God and that you are good. Thank you for the promises we find within your word, for the promises within this psalm that we've read together today. Thank you that we can rest in you today, that we can know that you are our refuge and that we can place our trust in you. Help us today to slow ourselves down, to choose to rest in you today, to find peace, strength and contentment in you today. Help us in the conversations that we have with friends and families and neighbours today to bring you glory in everything that we say and do, to share you with the people that we meet and talk with. Where we're worried and stressed and grief maybe takes over, or we have concerns taking over, help us to come back to you and to shelter and take refuge in you. Thank you that we know that you are God and that you are good. Amen. I hope that you have an amazing day today, and there are things that you see within today that are gifts from God. Be encouraged and hope to see you soon. Thank you.